It is August here in Melbourne, Australia, which means we are coming towards the end of winter. It also means it's time for another tour of the vegetable garden. But coming to the end of winter is super exciting because it means we can also start thinking about spring and summer veggies. Some of them you can start planting right now. At the end of this video, I'll take you through what you can plant now and when you need to start thinking about tomatoes. So they're going to be the best they can possibly be this summer. I'll take you through and show you how everything is growing here in my humble backyard in Melbourne, Australia. I'm also going to introduce you to a few new additions to our gardening journey. Hydroponics. We have started a little indoor growing hydroponic setup, which is a lot of fun. This is the newest addition to our vegetable garden. This one is called an EcoKitchen from Urban Plant Growers, is what they were called. They have just rebranded to call themselves Gathera. They sent this out to me as a gift to give it a try. This is my very first introduction to hydroponic growing, which is super exciting. So what that means is that you're growing with no soil, just water. So the way it works is it's plugged into electricity here. At the back, it's currently, the light is off just because it is in the off cycle at the moment. But if I turn it off and then on again, you can hear a bit of a trickle. These lights up here act as the sun, so they provide 12 hours of light so that you can grow inside. If you have a look under here, whoop, how cool is that? So there's a pump keeping that water aerated, and you can see even though these are tiny little sprouts, the roots are already coming down and sitting in that water. There is also, I've put a nutrient solution in there, which comes with the kit, which just means that you don't ever need to worry about how much nutrients your plants are getting because they're getting the perfect combination in there. I've got lettuce growing at the back. I've got, I think it's called red amaranth here. There's basil in there and some coriander at the front here. So I'm super excited about this one to give it a go. It does mean I can grow things like basil and stuff inside, even when it's cold outside. It's also apparently an awesome way to get some of your summer veggies started indoors before they're ready to go outdoors. I've started tomato seeds upstairs, which I'll show you in a minute, but I probably wouldn't do those in here because it grows so much quicker in here. It would almost be too quick. So by the time they were strong enough in here to go outside, I don't think the weather would be warm enough yet. So I recorded a video when I set this up, and I'm going to post a completely separate video talking all about hydroponics, how they work, what all this is in here. So this is called rock wool. I explain all that in a separate video. So hit the subscribe button and keep an eye out for that if that interests you. This bed here is pretty much all ready to harvest, but there are also things that will keep growing if I harvest some of it and leave the rest. So I've got celery in here. I will and have started harvesting the bigger stalks and leave the inner stalks. Keep growing. Yum. All right, with our rainbow chard, similar sort of thing. It's actually very similar looking to celery, isn't it? We get the big ones, leave the small ones to keep growing. I could potentially harvest and eat and enjoy that fennel, but I want it to keep getting bigger. I have unintentionally been sharing that with possums, but they seem to just be eating the stalks, which works quite well because I'm mostly interested in that beautiful bulb there. I've had one of the bulbs of my fennels so far. It tasted beautiful. I'm leaving these to grow a bit longer. I'm not ready to cook with it yet. I'll wait until the day that I'm going to cook with it before I pull it out. It's amazing actually just how much produce and how healthy things have been in such a simple little plastic pot. You can see it is starting to look a bit worse for wear. I don't know how long it'll last, but the veggies in here have grown really nicely. This is a real makeshift corner over here. It looks chaotic, but I would call it organised chaos. So I've got more celery growing in there, which is still doing nicely, but just taking a bit longer, I think, because it doesn't have quite as much space in that pot, and maybe that pot doesn't retain moisture quite as well. In here, I've planted some new lettuces, which I'm protecting with whatever I can find. So I introduced you to this protective net last video. If I move that out of the way, there's some more lettuces in there. They're ready to harvest, that one. These are some radicchios that are slowly starting to firm up a bit. But let's take a look under here. I'm good at planting things that are not quite what I think they are. This I thought was going to be bush snow peas. That's what the packet said. That looks very much like an ordinary climbing snow pea, so I'm going to have to find a bit of a new setup for those. Nonetheless, they're growing. These are my Brussels sprouts, which have been going forever. Let's see what's happening under here. Any sign of actual Brussels sprouts? They're supposed to grow along the stem. Ooh, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. I reckon they're tiny little Brussels sprouts growing in there. I was expecting this to get a lot taller. Maybe it still will. Look, it's healthy and happy. Not yet producing me the food that I'm expecting, but I haven't given up on that. I think we'll get there. My veggie pod is a bit of a share platter at the moment. Good old rats and possums have been sharing my kale, but I'm just growing so much parsley, it doesn't seem to matter. You can see all this has been eaten off by pests, but it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and we love parsley so much that doesn't matter. So I've got parsley in there, I've also got coriander in there, and no matter how much they steal off me, it seems to be growing at a faster rate. See, all pests along there, but I don't really mind because they're not ruining it, and they're probably almost trimming it back in a way that almost helps the plant. So look, if this is what they're targeting right now, I'm going to let them go. And see these beautiful red lettuces that were both from QP seedlings are doing well. Not quite as big as the last one, but they won't be too far off being ready to harvest. This beautiful thing here is ready to go. So I'm actually going to take that whole lot, chop it right at the base. I've got another big gorgeous lettuce down here that I grew from seed, which is also, I could eat that right now if I wanted to. My spinach, which you've been seeing here forever, I just keep harvesting that and it keeps growing back. I probably should plant some more because I would eat more of that if I had more to harvest. It's such an easy thing to just throw into any dishes or smoothies or anything like that. Now this is an interesting one. This was just a bit of a test. When I set up my hydroponic setup inside, I wanted to compare how seeds grew. So I planted all the same seeds in here, in these little pots, and at exactly the same time. And you can see the lettuce has started to sprout, but it's not as big as the lettuce that's in the hydroponic setup. The lettuce in there has at least a second set of leaves. And the others, so coriander, basil, and amaranth, haven't sprouted at all yet. The hydroponic company Gathera, they say that things grow a lot quicker in there, and I wanted to test, is that correct? And yeah, at this rate, it's definitely correct. Let's check out this beautiful pocket over here. You can see I've planted some more new lettuces in here to keep us going as we harvest the older ones. There's some more new lettuces growing in there. This beautiful lettuce head we've been getting a lot of enjoyment out of. I've been picking and eating the outer leaves, and before too long I'll just pick that whole lot off there. Carrots here, you've seen them in the past. They are such slow growers, but you know what? I've actually really enjoyed these carrots this year because rather than planning to harvest them all together, we've been having them as snacks. So the kids will often come out and say, "Can I have a carrot?" And I will virtually always say, "Sure." And they'll just pick one out and snack on it. So look, I don't feel like they're getting much bigger. They've been in there forever, but it's actually really nice to just be able to snack on them when we want to without having to harvest them all in one go. The top of my veggie pod has continued to work well as a separate cover. Over here, let's lift this up and see what's underneath. Over here, I've got bok choy. I think the snails have been getting in and sharing the bok choy with me. More purple kale. My rocket is finally recovering. Rocket here, and rocket there. That is already at a stage that we can pick off a few bits and enjoy them and then let the rest keep growing. Here I have one of my 3 broad beans. Continuing to get taller and stronger. Not yet producing any actual beans. I hope it won't be too far off. Now coming up the stairs here, this section of my garden is going to be transformed drastically over the next few months because we are going to clear this whole lot out and we are going to build raised beds here, which I'm super excited about. When I say we, it'll be predominantly my father-in-law, who you guys know as Pa, who is awesome at these sorts of things. I'm not much of a builder, but he is in the process of helping to map out proper raised garden beds up here. So hopefully between now and the next garden tour in a month, which you will get if you hit the subscribe button, this whole area will look totally different. So what have we actually got in here at the moment? Broad bean plant here, spring onions there, rainbow chard here. Amongst the weeds at the back, we've got some leek growing. I've already started harvesting the leek, which was exciting. I started growing it from seed and it took almost an entire year. And then I got through it pretty quickly. So was it worth it? If you've got part of the garden that you can spare, yes. If you don't have lots of space, probably wouldn't grow leek again. We're looking at beetroot here. You can see those beetroot are forming under there. Hard to show you because they're all packed in here, but that is some orange beetroot under there. You can see that. More orange beetroot there and more red beetroot there. So that's exciting. I've got kale hiding in amongst the chaos here. Chaotic kale. Love a bit of kale. Hiding in amongst everything else. And these are a combination of snow peas and sugar snap peas. While we're up here, do you want to take a look at my compost? I don't know if it's just me, but I get a great amount of joy. Oh, spin, spin, spin. I need 2 hands for that. I get a great amount of joy looking at what's in my compost. And the worms in here are gigantic. Oh, look at that. It's amazing. I don't know if you remember seeing some of my earlier videos where I showed you inside my compost and they were full of just so many different types of bugs. But just over time, as that decomposition process has continued, all the other bugs have, I don't know whether they've left or died off or what, and now I'm just left with gigantic worms. I'm going to move this down. Ooh, whoops. Oh no, I so didn't mean to do that. I just tipped some out accidentally. That was not intentional. Hello, mate. You can go back in there. And I don't want this here. Sure, it'll be good for the garden, but I need to save you. Oh, look. That's all the dead bugs. There you go. So they've done their job. They've died. I'll add some protein to the soil. Let's put you back in there. Let's put you back in there. Oh, check out the worms. Worms, worms, worms. Stay in the compost, guys. I need you. Your job is not done yet. Job is not done yet. This is my other big compost baby in here. And this will produce beautiful compost eventually, but no time soon. Because it just takes a lot more effort to mix it all up. I forgot to show you this bed last time. I think we were in a bit of a hurry and I had some kids having tantrums, so I had to cut it short a little bit. My last garden tour. This is purple cabbage. Ooh, look at that. That is a full solid head purple cabbage there. which is really exciting. In here, that one hasn't formed as much of a solid head, but it's getting there. And this one, another one. So I could, oh wow, that feels amazing. So I could technically harvest those now if I wanted to, but I'm going to let them grow a bit bigger. We did have 6 in here, and the possums got to, I think, 3 of them. You can see the possums got to this one. It's tried to grow back without much luck. This one, however, was also completely smashed by the possums, and it's grown back to the point that it's starting to form a head there as well. So that's cool. And this bed over here, it's a little bit redundant in the winter, as I've explained before, but spring onions, leek and garlic do seem to be growing here a bit. Last month I showed you that I had taken some of my peppers inside to see if I could get them to grow actual peppers during the winter. They're looking awesome. This is a ripe, almost completely ripe pepper that I could pick and eat right now. And look how many are on here. 1, 2, 3. Look at this. And all I did was brought it inside into an area where I knew this window gets lots of direct sunlight. And it's just continued to grow. Now, to a question that a lot of you have been asking me, when can I start my tomatoes for summer? It's too cold at the moment for tomato seedlings to do well and thrive outside. It is not too early to start them inside. The key thing to remember, the date in Melbourne and Victoria to get your tomato plants in the ground outside, Cup Day. So think Spring Racing Carnival. Around the Spring Racing Carnival, that's when you can get your plants into the ground. So if you think that you want at least a few weeks of growing beforehand, or ideally a couple of months to get your seedlings really strong before they go in the ground, that means you can get them going now. So this is the most exciting part of everything right now, because these are the little babies that I have planted in preparation for summer. I've so far planted 3 different types of tomatoes here, none of which have sprouted yet. The honeybee tomato, the rouge de marmande and the sweet million. Got some basil growing because that can take quite a while to get going, and love having basil in the summer. And I've also started growing some purple dwarf beans and some green dwarf beans over here. So the real question is, do you need to start your tomatoes now? No, is the answer. It is too cold for them outside, so if you're going to start them now, you do need to have a space where it's pretty warm for them. You can definitely start your tomatoes a bit later if you want to. It's a good idea starting them over the next month, and so they are pretty strong and healthy in time for the Spring Racing Carnival. What else have I got here? These are just a few things that I'm planning to plant in the next few weeks to get them ready for summer. Zucchinis, cucamelons, watercress. I'm going to do that today. That's not necessarily summer, that's all year round. And cucumbers. So these are just some things that you can get excited about, and I'm really excited about this one this year too. Watermelon golden midgets, little tiny watermelon. So I will get some of those in the dirt inside in the next few weeks too. We have got some cool things coming up. I've been invited to take a tour of the Melbourne Sky Farm. That is an entire urban farm situated on the top of a high-rise building. If you want to support this channel, the easiest way you can do that is just to go and watch something else. Have a look at my playlists. If you like this sort of thing, I suspect you will like my vegetable garden tours playlist. Thanks for joining, and happy gardening.